Aslı, and I would like to thank you all for tuning in today at another International Women Entrepreneurs Show with most valuable youth to guide us with the most important subject about balance and mental health. Before we start, let me tell you something about IWES in a nutshell. IWES vision is to become a sustainable platform that promotes the products, services, and activities of women entrepreneurs around the region, as well as globally. We are committed to collaborate and partner with successful women who has risen to the top to motivate and assist other striving entrepreneurs to achieve their business goals by sharing knowledge and experiences. We have the skill set, mindset to help them grow their business and overcome challenges, as well as inspiring them to become supporters, innovators, and leaders in community. Today, we have three amazing young women who will be discussing about the importance of balanced lifestyle, mental health from young entrepreneurs' perspective. Please join me to welcome Naima, Mahrin, and Lamia, who will be introducing themselves individually. Much love to them. I give the microphone to them.
We're going to be talking about well-being and mental health for adults, and we're just going to start by introducing ourselves.
So I'll go from the top because that's where my photo is. Hi everyone, my name is Lamia Butt. I am the founder and CEO of Resilient Together. It is a youth-led initiative that rightly so helps students find a productive use of their time, as we adjust to a new way of life. And for everyone, that new way of life looks very different. And, we try to adjust that to everyone and how we as the youth will get through this pandemic together. Other than that, I am the teen advisor and Middle East and North Africa regional leader for the United Nations Foundation Girl Up Initiative. And I'm involved in my school when it comes to different extracurriculars, whether it's the Model UN initiative or the school newspaper. And I'm so excited to speak here today about the importance of well-being, because well-being is so important. And as you will understand from the rest of our conversation, how the three of us, just really try to inculcate that in our life. So thank you.
Thank you, Lamia. First off, thank you, Ms. Asli, for welcoming us. And yeah, my name is Mehreen Munir. Hello, everyone. I am the founder of Entrepurica, which is this global youth-led organization.
Hello.
Which is this global youth-led organization that aims to enlighten, empower, and ignite youth ideas. What we basically do is that we empower and foster youth leadership through events, workshops, competitions, challenges, and most importantly, through mentorship, because that is very crucial in paving the way for the youth. Other than that, I am an active ISAC member, which is a global community of young leaders who aim to make the world a better place through gender equality workshops and conferences. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm happily passing over the mic to Naima.
Great. Thank you so much. So I'm the founder of Balance by Naima, and the goal is to basically promote well-being and a balanced lifestyle in adolescent, and basically end stigma towards mental health, and basically learning how to deal with this the competitive.
Please, I have a question.
Yeah, and
we're really doing the introduction, so could you do your question later?
No, what is this event about, or what are you all talking about, so we can get an idea, please?
It's a health and wellness, well-being for young entrepreneurs.
Right. So I'm really excited to be here because mental health is an issue that's really close to my heart, and I'd like to thank the IWES for giving us this opportunity. So now we're gonna move on to so just some facts about the importance of mental health and well-being. So 1 in 5 adolescents experience mental health issues, and 68% of employees say poor work-life balance negatively impacts their morale and motivation. And a balanced lifestyle can improve well-being as well as reduce symptoms. And that's what we're going to talk about today, just consciously implementing well-being and a balanced lifestyle into our work. So now we're going to move on to the panel discussion.
Perfect. Yeah, so now we will be starting off with the discussion. This is just going to be a conversation amongst us three before we open it up to all of you to ask us any questions. So Naima, would you like to begin?
Yeah, so the first question that I wanted to discuss was, do you believe that well-being is talked about enough? And how can mental health become less stigmatized for teenagers as well as young entrepreneurs?
Okay, I can go ahead first. Yeah, so I think the reason we are here today is because of the fact that mental health is not being discussed enough. That is why we're here, candidly opening up and talking about mental well-being and how we could achieve that. I think, well, mental health and mental illness is a serious illness, right? Childhood trauma, it could result from a lot of different reasons, but it's not being taken seriously as much as, you know, physical illness, as much as physical health, because you don't see it physically, but it's just as important. And because of that, I think there's this stigma, and because of that stigma, there's this fear and misunderstanding that is revolved around mental health and mental illness. And I think the one most important step that we could take to dismantling this stigma is by talking about it, is by acknowledging the fact that this is something that is important. This is something that we all need to focus on. We all need to consciously put an effort on. I think if we all acknowledge it and sort of self-reflect on ourselves, in addition to understanding and acknowledging the problems of others, it goes a long way. I think the only way we all could really be having this conversation is if we ourselves acknowledged it and self-reflected upon it and actually understood our attitudes, behaviors, and so on towards mental health and mental illness, because these unintentionally we could develop these prejudices, and in order to, you know, dismantle them, we need to take the first step to acknowledging them.
I 100% agree with you. And also, one thing that's not spoken about enough is the fact that young adults can also have, can also need help with their mental health. It's not just because our problems seem more insignificant compared to the problems that other, people who are much older have. Of course, we are not dealing with the direct impacts of a lot of things that adults deal with, for example, whether that's employment issues or whether that's relationship issues. While we may not be dealing with them to the extent that adults are, a lot of the issues that we face are swept under the rug because we've not seen enough of life, or we don't have enough experience to have anything to worry about. And a lot of people tell us there's more to life, but at the point of time that we are in, that is our life. We know that there's more to life, but at this moment, for me, yes, a psychology exam may be really important and it may be stressing me out. And yes, for you, it may be something completely more important, but, do not look at someone else's issue and be like, your issue is not as significant, because everyone has the right to call, to deal with their issues and have different levels of significance. So yeah, that's like the 2 cents that I wanted to add on about this conversation. All right, Naima, if you want to add anything.
No, I would definitely agree. I feel like mental health is not talked about enough, and because it's not talked about enough, people aren't consciously aware of how this impacts the rest of their life. And I completely agree with the fact that everyone's at a different time in their life. As teenagers, we're still trying to figure out where we're going, and we have all the stress of knowing how to deal with life. So I think that reaching out for help and creating a really uplifting community is really crucial to combat this issue.
100% agree with you.
Mhm.
Now for everyone, well-being can look so different. So like, how does well-being look different for each individual? And yeah, I wanted to, pass the question on to the both of you.
Okay. Yeah, I can go ahead. Yeah, that's definitely a really good question. Well-being is unique to every individual. I think that, well-being is this very complicated mixture of like social, health, emotional, spiritual factors. So because every individual is unique, these factors are unique as well. And the way we cope with our mental health is very different to someone else. But I think the common and general idea of well-being is definitely common amongst everyone else, because I think when you think of well-being, it's very commonly associated with life satisfaction, with happiness. What brings us happiness differs from every person, but the ultimate goal and ultimate objective. Yeah. But the ultimate goal is similar. It's that we aim to achieve this sense of life satisfaction, this sense of happiness. And I think the methods we all take to achieve that is different. Some people like nature, some people have different hobbies.
Can we ask someone to mute themselves? Yeah, I think it's okay now. Sorry to interrupt, Mahreen.
Yeah, no worries. Yep, that's pretty much it. I think because well-being is such a complicated concept that includes this mixture of these different factors, it's bound to be unique to every individual. I'd love to know about how each of us take steps in achieving our mental well-being, which we'll definitely talk about later on. But yeah, I think people in the chat can also talk a little bit about what they feel mental well-being is and just give their opinions in the chat. But yeah, Lamia or Naima, would you like to go ahead?
Yeah. So I really do agree with Mahreen. I feel like everyone finds peace and happiness in different activities. So mental health does not have to look the exact same as the next person. It's different for everyone, and whatever brings you peace and makes you happy is what you should focus on, because at the end of the day, that's the only thing that's going to improve your own mental health.
Yeah, just to, echo what the both of you have already said, well-being looks so different for everyone. And, someone has put on the chat that it's about being yourself and living with clarity and happiness. And that is so true. I think when we speak about well-being, we should speak about the process towards the well-being, because we all want to be happy, but without getting too philosophical, like what does that look for everyone, and how do you get to that final point? Because I think we keep striving towards it, we keep trying to reach it, but a lot of the times we will completely dismiss whatever path we are on, because we've not been able to reach that ultimate level of happiness that we were looking for. So instead, we should be focused on what are we doing to get there, and are the practices that we are employing good for our mental health, even if in the future it leads to happiness. So that's what I think.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And Asli in the chat said that being well is others' perception, but well-being is our awareness. And I second that like 100%, because that is so, so true. I think in order for us to achieve well-being, in order for us to achieve happiness and life satisfaction, we need to acknowledge the fact that we don't we should not put so much emphasis and focus on what other people think and what other people perceive about us or what other people say about us. It's about what we think of ourselves and what we feel about ourselves and how we look at ourselves. And I think that's the most important belief that we need to have in order to achieve mental well-being and just have a happy lifestyle. So yeah, I definitely agree with that. Moving on from there, I'd love to ask, so we are all talking about mental health and how that looks like for each of us, but I want to talk more about how we could implement that and how we could implement that more consciously. So do you guys believe that we need to focus on mental health in a way that we could implement it more consciously? In other words, should mental health be implemented more consciously?
I definitely think it should, for the sole purpose that, if we are consciously taking care of our blood pressure, if we are consciously making sure that we are not having, oily foods because we want to make sure that, we are physically healthy, we're physically active, I think we should consciously make the decision to be mentally healthy and mentally active. And whether that means consciously evaluating your circle around you, consciously seeing, are these friends adding value to my life, or are they, toxic? And, making sure that we know the difference and consciously taking the steps, going on a walk because, physically it helps us. It's, mentally giving us a benefit as well. So, be very conscious about the steps you're taking and recognize that speaking about your mental health or speaking about things you're doing to mentally be happy should not be, stigmatized, as we mentioned before. For example, I love when people are on those, they put lemon in their water because they're like, it will help me, will help speed up my metabolism. Fine. They say it so proudly. So proudly also say it that, yeah, I did meditate, early in the morning. It doesn't make you, the Zen type. A lot of people like to label people who meditate or label people who do things which are out of, the ordinary. So just like putting lemon in our water to increase our metabolism has now become normalized and has become very cool. I think even taking active steps to become mentally healthy should be recognized and should be encouraged.
I agree. I feel like it's so essential to consciously take out time in your week for mental health, because if you keep saying later, I'll relax later, it'll never end up happening. So just consciously making time for your mental health is super important to make sure that you are mentally stable.
Definitely, I agree with what both of you have said. And yeah, I just like to say that in order to achieve anything, we need to make a conscious effort, and mental well-being is as well something it's the same thing. In order to really be able to have this sense of peace and satisfaction and serenity within ourselves, we need to put an effort to do that. And there was this quote that I read that preparing the mind, body, and spirit for entrepreneurship, for leadership, for life is like preparing the mind, body, and soul for the Olympics. So you know how for the Olympics you need to train, you need to prepare, you need to put in those blood, sweat, and tears. The same way to prepare for your own mental well-being and just to have this sense of peace within your life, you need to put in the effort. So I definitely agree that this requires a conscious effort, but it's worth mentioning the fact that it's not easy. Like we can't just say that, oh yeah, we need to put a conscious effort and yeah, and it'll just go on from there. No, it's really something that requires a lot of time, patience, and effort. I think especially as a member of the youth, it takes us a little bit more time because acknowledging these things and adopting these little habits and hobbies within our routine in order to improve our mental well-being is not easy, but it's definitely something that's worth it in the long run.
100%. Okay, so now we're going to move on to talking about just personal experiences and our connection to well-being. So, do you guys have a set routine that helps improve your productivity, your motivation, and how do you go about setting a routine?
Um, so for me personally, I think I never valued the importance of like morning routines, night routines, and just a routine in general before. Like, you know how we'd watch a lot of these YouTubers post these YouTube videos on like morning routines when I was younger, and I'd be like, what is this? Like, I just get up in the morning, brush my teeth, and just get on with my day. But I think now I've realized how significant they are, because whatever you do in the morning sort of sets the tone for the rest of your day. And like, it just determines how you're gonna feel and what you're gonna do for the rest of the day. So it's actually really important, which I didn't realize before. So sort of this has setting this routine has sort of been a work in progress for me. It's not yeah, it's sort of been like this work in progress for me. Yeah, sorry. So because of how this has been this work in progress, and it'll take me time to establish it. And I think that's like, it's like that for everyone. I think establishing such a routine is not something that happens overnight. It takes time and effort. And for me personally, I think the way I've sort of gone about this is, well, I've started to improve my morning routine and just get up early in the morning. I think, especially for the youth, we like staying up late at night in quarantine and now summer vacations. You know, I've improved my routine quite a bit, where I get up sort of at 9. I'm trying to get up by 8 a.m., but right now it's 9. And in order to be active for the rest of the day, I realized that doing something like athletic or a little sporty in the morning is really helpful. So usually I go cycling or I go for a walk. And I have Notion. Notion is where I like schedule my entire day. So after going for a walk, I read a book for a little bit, and then I start with my day. Now, this all sounds really cool and really like, you know, this spiritual and so on. But again, this is not something that I've been able to establish overnight. It took me quite a while, like a couple of months. So yeah, but that's how I've gone about this. Alami, I'd love to hear your thoughts.
For me personally, I wish I had my morning routine as put together as you, because I fall in the bracket of students who will, be up late at night and then wake up in the, at 11 a.m., 12 p.m. or 1 p.m. But I have come to understand that for everyone, their productive time is so different. Some people are really productive in the morning, and I love that. But for me personally, I can get majority of my work done in the night. So when everyone is asleep, the whole house is just to me, is when I feel like I can get a lot of work done, because collectively we are 4 siblings, so there's always something going on in the house. When you're that many siblings, you always are either talking to your sibling or you're helping a sibling with their work, whatever it is. So I personally really love the nighttime. It's just like a time for myself and no one else. And I love also sleeping in, because I love sleeping. But I've come to understand that for everyone, it looks so different. And that's what I'm trying to emphasize, because when I wake up, like sometimes there are some days when I wake up at like 1 p.m., like on a Friday. And then I think of it as, okay, if I was to wake up at 9 p.m., starting work at 5 p.m. would only be like we're starting work for a normal person at 12 p.m., which a lot of people like taking the mornings off to work on themselves. I take my afternoon off and start working on it in the evening. And that is okay as well, because for right now, as a student, it's worked with my schedule. Most probably as it goes on and as I get into the workforce, it will completely change, because I will have to wake up a lot earlier. Now, I'm able to, function like this, and it works fine with me. Mahreen, I've heard you talk about Notion so much. I want to get on it as well and see what it's about, But for me personally, like I love just making sure that all of my meetings are on a Google Calendar, because otherwise I will be so lost. Like I will miss meetings left, right, and center if I don't have it on Google Calendar. So that's one thing I do. And second thing is I like to physically write down my to-do list. And one thing that I heard on a podcast, which I've used nowadays and it works like a charm, is always start your to-do list with the first thing on the to-do list being make a to-do list, because as soon as you're done making your to-do list, that's one thing you tick off, and it already gives you that feeling of satisfaction that, okay, I've done one thing in the, in the day to day, and I'll be able to do the rest of the things on my to-do list as well. So start your to-do list with make a to-do list, and it works wonders. Let me know how it goes if anyone uses it. Yeah. And Naima, what about you? Like, what do you do to stay productive morning or in the night?
Okay, so I definitely agree with you guys. On different days, I feel my motivation at different times. When I come home from school, I'm super tired, so I make sure that instead of just having this pressure to just dive into my work and finish everything at one go, I sometimes like to take a nap or make sure I've eaten something and really rest after my school period, so that when I do start my work in the evening, which is not when a lot of people like to work, a lot of people do like to work in the morning, I am as productive as I can be, because personally that's what works for me and it doesn't work for everyone. But just ensuring that I don't have burnout from constantly working, I make sure that I set aside these periods of time within my day to just rest and eat and, take a breather.
Yeah, I love that. And yeah, I just wanted to mention that that's so true that our routine and our productivity looks very different for each individual. I think for me as well, like when I was in high school, well, I wasn't in high school like 3 years ago. It was just a year ago. But then, yeah, a year ago when I was in high school, for me, I loved working at night. I think there's just this sense of like, I don't know, since everyone's sleeping, it's so quiet and it's just like the best time to work. So I definitely get that. Like I loved work. I was definitely a night owl, but I don't know, when quarantine happened and everything, it just shifted for me, and I just started liking waking up in the morning and doing stuff in the morning. And now I'm very unproductive at night and more productive in the morning. So it just shifted for me naturally. But yeah, that was definitely me. And I think it's just different for everyone, you know. So yeah, that was a really good point that Lamia made, that it's very, very different for each person and the time that we, are productive. And one method that I've used in order to, keep on top of my to-do list, I don't know if everyone knows about this matrix thing. It's called the Eisenhower matrix. Sounds very complicated, but it's not. Basically, you just make a to-do list of everything you want to do, and then you prioritize them based on how urgent they are and how important they are. And when I heard about this matrix, it sounded like cool, like, okay, I'd give it a go. And because I realized that when you prioritize your tasks, you're likely to get more done. Because if you just have this huge dump of like to-do list or tasks, you sort of get overwhelmed and you don't really complete all of them, or just complete one and you're like, this is too many, I can't do it. So if you prioritize them, that's really helpful. That's what's worked for me. It may not for you, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, I think I could ask the next question. So do you guys take days off from all the work you're doing, all your extracurriculars, and what do you do on those days? And also, I'd love for everyone else in the chat to let us know what they do when they're taking a break. It's just nice to, compare and see what everyone does. So yeah, Naima or Lamia, I'd love to know.
Okay, so usually I like to try new things. I feel that it's exciting, but not putting pressure on the fact that I have to be super good at it. I try to do something creative like art or cooking, or try to do something sporty like take a swim, but just don't have this pressure of being super good at it. I think trying new things gives you this excitement and kind of peace. And also I like to spend a lot of time with my friends and my family on my days off.
So for me personally, how I like to go about my days off. So I just recently finished like 2 months of exams. Like, because of COVID, we had to space everything out and all of that. So, I just got done with exams, and I was like, you know what? Yes, I want to have a productive summer. Yes, I want to do something worthwhile. I want to, apply for internships, see what happened. I want to, work on my initiative. But I was like, that week, before the school resumed in the week after my exams, I took it off. Like I took the entire week off. And I know people who are working full time do not have the liberty to do that. But even if you go on like holiday for a week off, like completely detach yourself. Like I only did work if I absolutely had to like send an email, or I was on a different time zone with someone and I had to, be awake at night to facilitate, their queries in the morning or whatever. But I took that entire week off. I just watched, Netflix, for example, or I watched YouTube for the sole purpose that my body needed it. Because after 2 months of stressful, A-level exams, the British curriculum can get a lot. And I just wanted to make sure that I am prioritizing myself, because I feel like that, energized me. That week is over, a new week has started, and I feel so much, focused on my goals. And now I feel like this summer I'm going to use it very productively, but also make time for my friends. And with COVID, I'm like still so hesitant to leave the house, because I just feel every time I'm leaving the house, like I'm getting exposed. But I think that's something that everyone out of COVID has to, learn to deal with. Whether you've been infected or not. I'm fully vaccinated, but I still like to, take my precautions and stuff like that. But I 100% feel that take the time off and don't feel guilty about it. If someone is asking you, just be like, hi, I'm taking a day off. Can I get back to you later? Because the world, whether we think, we always think that if we don't respond, ASAP, like everything will cease to exist. But the world does not revolve around us. It's fine if we take a day off and reply to someone's email a day later. But once you do get back on the, in the groove of things, don't procrastinate and don't put it off. But yeah, that's what I think personally.
Yeah, that was very relatable, I think. And what you said at the end was very, very true. I think we really need to understand that when you're taking a break, take a break. Like, don't think about your work, your studies, your all that. Just take a genuine break where you're actually detaching yourself from everything else and just focusing on yourself. And how you take that break, obviously, again, varies. So for me, when I take a break, I literally just lay on my bed and do absolutely nothing. I know there's a lot of people say who that you can take like productive breaks where you're like doing something, but something that's not your work, but it's still productive. Like obviously, some like an athletic activity or playing the piano or and so on. And I think yes, you really need to have these like breaks where you can enjoy like a certain hobby. Or for me, example, I really like reading. So usually, like now I've started back reading and gotten my hands on books again. So yeah, when I take a break, usually I start reading. But I think that's not the same every time. Like every time I take a break, I won't be reading, because sometimes when you need a break, you really need like your mind to just relax and you just to feel like you don't want to do anything. So in that case, I literally just lay on my bed and that's pretty much it. So yeah, if you take breaks. And the kind of breaks you take, they could be productive breaks in which you're like doing a certain activity. And but if you're not doing a certain activity, that's not an unproductive break, that's just a break. It really doesn't matter what you do. Just take an actual break where you're detaching yourself. And I think that's really important, because if you're taking a break, but after every 2 seconds you open your phone to send the email, and then you take a break and then you open your phone to send the other message, that's not a break. So yeah, I think that that's very true and very relatable. Yeah, 100% agreed.
I also completely agree. I feel like people think that people feel really guilty about taking breaks because they think that that's not what they should be doing. But taking breaks can actually completely increase your productivity, and it can prevent burnout from working too much. So actually taking breaks is a super good thing, not just for your mental health, but also for your productivity and your motivation.
All right, that's amazing. And I just want to go on to the topic of motivation. So, like, what is something that someone has told you, stuck with you, and where do you get your motivation from? If we club those together, because they are, complementary. One is not there without the other. So yeah, I just wanted to pass it on to both you, Marheen and Naima.
Yeah, so I'm sorry you lagged a little bit. So you asked what is something that stuck by me?
Something someone has told you that stuck by you, and like where do you get your motivation from to,
So there is one thing that someone said that if you care about what others think, then you'll never be able to make your own decisions in life. And I think that is something that really resonated with me and really stuck by me, because especially as when I was younger, especially when I was in high school, I cared a whole lot about, what people around me thought. I was also in the student council, so and that just automatically makes you think a lot about the student body and what they're thinking of you, they're thinking of what you're doing. But honestly, the world does not revolve around you. Every step, every action you take is not going to be really seen by everyone else. It's something that's going to be seen by you. So what step you take should be appreciated by you, and you shouldn't really care about what others think. And I think that was so important, because once you think so much about what others are thinking of you, all your decisions, everything are going to be based on the preferences and on the likings and on the opinions of everyone else besides you. And even if that decision harms you in the long run or in the short term, you're going to take it because you're thinking of others, not yourself. So I think that really stuck by me. And especially now, I've really realized that whatever I do, it doesn't matter what others think. It's really what I feel is good for me. And I think this relates a lot to what Asli said before about how wellness is our awareness. And yeah, so just being aware of what I want, what I like, and what is right for me, that's really crucial for me in the long term as well. And you said what motivates me. Honestly, that's a very hard question to answer, because there's not really one thing that would just push you to get up in the morning, you know what I mean. But I think there's a variety of things that sort of produces this drive and this perseverance and this determination, motivation. I think it's really important to keep reminding yourself about what you're doing, why you're doing what you're doing, because it's very easy to be in this digital era where you're looking at others, where you're looking at others' achievements, seeing what they're doing, and that would sort of demotivate you. So it's really important for us to keep reminding ourselves of what we're doing, what we've achieved so far, how we've come this far, and why we're doing what we're doing. So I've seen a lot of people make vision boards. I don't know if anyone in this room does that. I've never done that, but I feel like that would be really helpful. A vision board is just like a bunch of pictures that sort of visualizes your dream or your achievements. And I think that's a really fun technique to always see what you always keep yourself motivating. One other thing is a manifestation journal. Again, I'm not sure if everyone does this, but I started this very recently, where I literally just write down everything I've achieved and everything that I want to achieve. And every now and then I look back and read it, and that really just keeps me pushing, because I just remember how I felt when I wrote this and all the things that I want to achieve. Again, this sounds like really spiritual and philosophical, but honestly, it's really effective. And for me, I started recently, and I found it something that really pushed me and kept me going. These are little techniques that everyone can use, but the general idea is to just keep reminding yourself why you're doing what you're doing and what you want to aim for.
Okay, so in I would have to agree with Mahreen a lot, is to just focus on yourself. And I think one of the most valuable lessons I learned this year was that everyone grows at a different pace. You know, as young adults, we have this huge expectation of the achievements and the things that we should be doing in our lives. But the fact that everyone is focusing on issues that are important to themselves, it just their achievements are a measure of their like personal, it's personal to each person. And so that is really similar to what Maureen was saying, you know, being in all these groups like student council and our initiatives, people have a lot of expectations of us. And Rowena mentioned something about like practicing gratitude. And that's something that my mom and my family, we do. My mom encourages us to do a lot, just practicing gratitude, because it keeps us grounded, what we've achieved and what we have. And that's what gives us motivation to do more and to be better every single day.
For me personally, to echo what Maureen said, so I do vision boards, but the way I do them is a little bit different. So for example, if I have something on my vision board, okay, I will make sure that the picture that I'm using is edited to literally show me in the vision board. So for example, if I'll just take an example of so the work that I'm doing with the United Nations Foundation. One of the programs that I got accepted for is the Teen Advisor Program. So I remember when I was making my vision board, I quite literally took a screenshot of someone else's acceptance letter that they'd gotten in the past, and I literally like edited my name into it. So I'm literally speaking it into existence. So that's one thing that really helps me. So actually seeing yourself as a part of it. So for example, let's say you really enjoy acting, you want to get an award, like literally Photoshop yourself into it, because you will see yourself there one day and you will want it just so much more. Second thing is something that someone has told me that I've always kept in mind is work in secret. Not because you don't want to, help others, but for the sole purpose that there's so many people who don't want the best for you. So recognizing which people you can actually bounce off ideas from and which people you need to be really, careful about. I've seen that helps a lot, because when I say work in secret, doesn't mean no one knows about it. Like my closest circle know about it, but be very intentional about who knows your goals. For the sole purpose, not everyone wants the best for you. Your family is always one, source that will only want the best for you. And I find that bouncing ideas off with my, siblings or my parents really helps me. But I'm also very conscious about making sure that, don't put your vision board in a very visible area. Put it in a place where you will access a lot. Where I put my vision board is in my, every day where I put my to-do list. The first pages are like just my vision board, essentially. And that's what I do, so that I'm the only one who sees it. I don't want don't make it so obvious that every time a guest enters your house, they see this massive vision board and they're like, oh, that's cool, you want to do that. Don't do it. Also, if you are like if you have a room only for yourself, I've seen a YouTuber do this. Her name was Lily Singh. What she did was she had a bed, and like literally on top of her bed was her vision board. So every time she was, opened her eyes in the morning, like that's the first thing she saw. But of course, not everyone has a bed like that, like they can put it. But I would just say put it somewhere that you will access. So every day we open our closet to find new clothes. So you can always put it, on the inside of your closet as well. So when you open it, because we spend a lot of time looking for clothes to wear. So by the time you're looking for clothes, you're also, getting inspired. So you're not wasting your time finding clothes, but you're just being so much more productive with the time for your own good. Also, another thing, don't overwhelm yourself with your goals, because sometimes our goals are so big. We think that, how will I ever do that? Like, how will I ever get that far? But just realize that it's in your steps that you take every day to get there. And yeah, so don't overwhelm yourself with a lot. Otherwise, you will. Sometimes my to-do lists are so big that I never get started, because I'm like, I will never be able to finish it. So just keep that in mind as well. And that works wonders.
Yeah, awesome. Those are some amazing insights. Yes, I think we could move on to the last segment of this panel discussion, which is of action steps. So how we could achieve what we want to achieve. So the first question I'd like to ask is, was there ever a period of time during which you were not in your best mental or physical state? And how did you overcome that period of time? And I think a lot of people could relate to this as well. So yeah, keep conversing in the chat, everyone.
I think for me personally, I go with these like bouts of, feeling really motivated and bouts of like not feeling any motivation at all. And when I get really, when I get sucked into that, hole, I become a homebody. And I think COVID has just, exacerbated that so much because I don't feel like leaving the house, because like actually forcing yourself to do something other than overthink or worry is really difficult. Like my siblings would just be like, okay, let's go and get food and at least let's leave the house. So get yourself physically out of the situation, helps a lot. Also, a time that I can think of is, like I said, it's really recurring. There's not one particular time that I can think of and I've overcome it, because I feel like I'm still going through, changes, and I'm still evolving and, coming out on the other side of the changes and trying to be a better person. But it's not easy. Like the first step is acknowledging that you're human and you will go through that. And there'll be days when you don't feel like doing anything, and that's okay. One quick thing that I want to say before I pass it on is, I read this somewhere, and the other day, like I completely exercised that, was simply that do not let one small thing that happens in your day affect the rest of the day. So that means if you've gotten like if you gotten an email about someone rejecting your internship, don't let that affect how the rest of your day is going to go. Dealing with rejection and failure is also so heartbreaking, but just understanding that without seeming too self-obsessed, there's just understanding that they did not choose you, and that's their loss, because if you were a part of it, you would have been a contributing member. And understanding that it's everyone fails. No, I don't know a single person who's never failed. So yeah, that's my 2 cents. Naima, Mahreen, how do you guys deal with the rough patches, and how did you do it?
I would also agree. The first step is to completely acknowledge that, this is a bad time in my life, but it's nothing to be afraid of. Usually what I would like to do is to reach out to help, friends, family, they're all there for you. A lot of people are scared to speak up, but understanding that there are people around you who are there to reach out, that you can reach out to for help, is really important. And also I like to focus on the thing that is stressing me out, because it can look super intimidating, but then just break it up into smaller pieces. Like, how can I approach my problem? And that's a really important method to approaching stress and your issues, is to break it down and take it one step at a time so that it's not as intimidating.
Yeah, I definitely agree. And I think one point that Lamia said really stuck with me was that don't let any rejection determine the rest of your day. And that was a really good point that you made. I just wanted to say that there's a difference between rejection and worth. So even if you're rejected to a program, you're rejected to a university, you're rejected to an internship, that does not diminish your value or your worth. It just means that you weren't the fit for that program, but that doesn't mean you're less worthy or you're less valuable. You still have this incredible amount of value and worth, but that just didn't fit with that specific program. So I think that's something that's really important for us to understand, that just because you got rejected to something doesn't mean you're not good enough. So yeah, that was something that really stuck by me. And secondly, I think Yeah, I agree with what Lamia said, that this is sort of recurring. It's not something that, there's just one period of time and after that you completely overcome it and you never go through that, state of mental, where you're not in your best mental state, because it's always going to happen. We're human and this is life. This is a journey where we're going to always have these ups and downs. So it's not going to be this stable, mental state all the time. Definitely not. But putting a conscious effort to improve that state so that it's not down for a longer period of time. That's really important. And I think 2020 was a period of time where my mental state was not the best, if I'm being honest. I think obviously we were at home for a majority of the time, and I think 2020 made me realize how social human beings are. Like, we are social animals, like we really need social interaction, and not having that really did affect me to unexpectedly, honestly, because I didn't think it would really affect me as much. I think just going to school every day improved my social interaction so much that when that was stripped away, it really affected me. And then there were problems going on with universities and so on. So yeah, it was a really difficult time. I really lost a lot of my motivation. And I think 2021, I just really pushed myself and I was like, no, I need to like consciously make an effort to improve my habits, to improve my routine, to improve a lot of these different things. And I think 2021 has been like an amazing year for me so far, because of the conscious effort and mindset that I, made. So yeah, it's not something that, you overcome again overnight, nor is it something that you overcome and then it just never comes back. It's always stable. That's not true. Like, we're always going to go through those ups and downs. And the way we do that, for me, I guess, talking about it was really important, because I felt like whenever I personally was down or was facing problems, I'm a type of person that wouldn't express those emotions, which is not right. Like, you can't bottle up these emotions, because at the end it's just going to explode and it's not right. So yeah, I think taking a step to actually talk and candidly open up about these things, whether it's to your siblings, to your parents, to your friends, it's just really, really important. I think that made me realize that I need to talk about how I'm feeling. And one way to do that is by talking to others and by journaling as well, if that's something you're into. But yeah, I think that was the main step for me. Other than that was just like improving my routine and habits. I started reading a lot more of psychological books, which helped me again, because I could relate to those books and I could actually take steps in implementing good habits into my own life. So that was really helpful as well for me.
Perfect. So now with 2 minutes left, let's pass it on to the audience. You have your hands raised. Feel free to just unmute and speak. We'll just pass it on to the audience. Whatever you feel, go ahead. And
I would like to thank, and I just couldn't keep but smiling through the whole session. First of all, I would like to say that respect is ageless and it is earned. And thank you for being such honorable three ladies of full inspiration. And this was so insightful. I took so many notes, and I give all my respect to you from the bottom of my heart. And the three levels of the conversation I want to call as love, light, and peace, which made me feel. And at the same time, I want to tell you on behalf of myself, and definitely being at the age of nearly your mothers, maybe, I felt so excited and so safe, because being so self-aware at such a young age is a big achievement. I would like to say the point you achieved is so gorgeous. At your age, we were more about others' perceptions. We were not able to mean, and at plus 30, we were saying after 30, I waken up, I can talk now, I can mean now. But your status is a white page you have, and you are writing a life like a masterpiece. My fight page that I say I start is a little bit erased one, still white, but erased. I wish you all the best on your new achievements we are going to witness together. I thank you for every insight and wisdom you shared with us. And what they say is, and what we are doing now is unlearning the things we learned from wounded people. That's why your informations that we are taking from you is so pure and so clean. Thank you so much, Cardella. Thank you so much, Lamia, Naima, Mahrin. Was another wonderful day, and thank you so much. Looking forward to witness many success together.
Thank you so much for the opportunity.
Thank you very much for your kind words. It was so amazing having this discussion and like looking at everyone's faces. Even if we're not, face to face, it was still such an amazing discussion. Thanks for all the wishes on the chat as well. So yeah, we really, really appreciate it. It means a whole lot.
Thank you for being with us today, girls, and thank you, Asli, for hosting the event today. But I think Hanan Ben Kaluk, she actually have a project called Tawazun, which is balance. So she wanted to say something to you, girls. Are you there, Hanan?
Hello. Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Hello, ladies. First of all, my apologies for missing this. What sounds like been a wonderful session. I just got the wrapping up, and I was planning to be here, but as you can see, I'm still outside in the meeting. But I thought at least I can get the vibe, which is very, very clear from what Asli was saying. And it's really refreshing because I really wanted to listen to you and get your fresh thoughts and learn about what are your insights and perspective on balance. But definitely we'll have more. I'd love to host you myself because I launched this initiative Tawazun, which, if you know, it's in Arabic, it's just the word Arabic, the Arabic word for balance. And it's really about creating, it's more of a movement or a think tank where the focus is actually on the youth, because probably it's too late for the adults to unlearn and start challenging those old paradigms. But for me, Tawazun is really about the slogan of building balanced people today for a more balanced world tomorrow. And seeing that young women like yourself are already tackling the topic of balance and already self-aware of that. It's, to me, it sounds like, it's music to my ears, and I would love to know a little bit more about the work you're doing, tell you a little bit more about what we're trying to do, engage you, because we need people like you that spread the self-awareness about balance so we can try to save some of us and really just have that wake-up call that today it's really about how to balance your wheel of life, how to strive for balance. Funny enough, yesterday I posted a picture about the yoga day, and the quote that came to my mind the caption was, this is the practice that teaches me every day that it is about striving for progress and not for perfection. And I would say probably striving for balance and not for achievement, because the very notion of achievement is very subjective, and we need to continue on reminding everyone that what we can strive for achieving is really a balanced life, and that's the greatest achievement of them all. So thank you, ladies. I just wanted to connect with you even briefly, and make it more of a call to know more about what you do, to be in touch with you, and to continue voicing and spreading the word about how everyone needs to live a balanced life, spread balance around themselves, their surroundings, and the wider world. So thank you. Thank you, Kadela, for having me even for the last minute.
Yeah, I'll connect you to them, Hanan.
Yes, definitely, it'll be my pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
well done, ladies. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. We'd love to connect and know more about how we could collaborate. That sounds wonderful. So yeah, thank you very much for joining, even if it was at the end.
Thank you so
Of
much
course.
to everyone. And Hanan Beluk, you are always so much full of light, inspiration, and definitely you balance the love to all of us very well. We love you so much.
Oh
We
my
love
God, I love you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to thank everyone for today's joining, being all together. I took so many notes. I will be talking about you definitely the whole day here in Turkey. And looking forward to communicate and connect you with Turkish youth because they need your light as well. Kardela, this we should do it together with you. You know, and sending you much love and thank you for the organization and coming and honoring our meeting. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye, everyone. Have a great day.
Bye.